This is Gemara Sanhedrin Daf Lamed Aleph, and we'll learn for this month, the month of Teves, that has been generously sponsored as the Lezchot Aliyas Neshama for Aryeh ben Rav Ya'akov V'Siyata D'Shemaya. The Koyach HaTorah should continue elevating the Hilig Neshama of Rav Aryeh ben Rav Ya'akov to a higher place in Gan Eden Shalmaila, as well as learning should be an incredible Schos Refuah Shlema for Tinaik ben Miriam Ahuva V'Siyata D'Shemaya. We should continue seeing successes, ultimately culminating in a refuah shalema gemura. We're holding on Lamed Amud Beis Baruch Hashem. We'll be finishing the Perek B'Siyata D'Shemaya today. I apologize that the daf keeps on disappearing, but let's get that up and running. Again, we're on Lamed Amud Beis. We're about 6 lines from the bottom. The first word on the line is halva. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Yehuda. Teaches Rav Yehuda, again, we're 6 lines on the bottom. The first word of the line is halva. Teaches Rav Yehuda, Eidos. Hamachacheshes zeh. We have one Eidos that contradicts another. Continuing on the theme of what we ended off in the previous year, then when we have Eiduyos that are contradictory one to another, can they be combined? Says Rav Yehuda, when they are questioned, such eidos can still be utilized in dine mamanis. Amar Rav Yehuda, Rava explains, Mizaver Milson to Rav Yehuda, that when two people are testifying in an event, and one said the money that was the halva was in a black purse, one said it was in a white purse, that is a peripheral, that is a minor, that is a sidebar detail, that such a debate, such a contradiction will not be a problem. Whereas if one says that it was a white mana, new coins, and one says it was mana shachar, it was old coins, then that's intrinsic and ein mitzarfin. You cannot combine them. Meaning, if you have a stira in the wallet, no. If you have a stira in the money itself, then that is shver. Ask the Gemara, ve'arniki shechayra b'dinin afashais. Lai, ask the Gemara, 2 lines from the bottom. It sounds like, ask the Gemara, that if there was a debate about the arniki with regard to din nefashais, sounds like it would be a problem. We just said it's no problem when by dine maminis. The clear implication is that din nefashais would yes be a problem. Ask the Gemara from Rav Chizach and Rav Basai, if Hargo v'echad Amar, ba'aririn Hargo yin zen nachayin. If one said that the murder was committed with a sword and one said it was committed with a dagger, their testimony is not proper. And then the testimony is proper. So what do we see? We see that even though there's a contradiction in the peripheral details, it does not make their eidos possible. And this is not like Rav Yehuda, that said only by dine mamanis would be kosher, clearly implying that by dine nefashis, even a minor contradiction, even on a sidebar detail, would yes be an issue. And that is a stira to which we just said, and that's the kasha on Rav Yehuda. Continues the Gemara on Lamed Aleph, Amud Aleph, Gavra Karamis. What is your kasha? Says the Gemara, there are different opinions, and therefore Rav Yehuda holds one, Rav Chizkiah holds the other, as the Tab Rashi points out, and therefore we can't ask kasha one to the other. Continues the Gemara, Nahardai Amri. In Nahardai they said, Afilu echad amr mana shachar v'echad amr mana lavan ein mitzarfin. Even if there's a contradiction within the money itself, it can be mitzarif. Keman, kivshu ben karcha. Says the Gemara, Eimer the Mershu ben karcha, when the Mershu ben karcha say is din, heichad lo machshu adadi, is only where they don't contradict each other, but rather talk about 2 different cases. Heichad the machashi adadi mi amar. Says the Gemara, yes, if Mershu ben karcha agrees that at some level you can have iduyos about different monies, but that's only if they're testifying about different halvayos. But if it's a direct stira, then even if Mershu ben karcha doesn't hold as such. Says the Gemara, Al-Huda Amar Ki Atana, but rather you're right, it's like Mershu ben karcha 8 lines down. The first line is Hai Tana, the Tani Amar Shimon Lazar. Lo nechlu beishami beisila al shtei kite edim. Shachas Ameres Matayim, Achas Amer Mana, Shish Bechla Matayim Mana. They don't argue. Amanechlu al kat achash abishama yoimrim. Nechlu edusan bisil yoimrim. Yesh b'chavasayim mana. Says the Gemara, the machlokes is not unto Kitei Edim. One says it was 200, one said it's 100. Because within 200 is 100, therefore they both are agreeing. It was at least $100, therefore they'll have eidos to the $100. What's the machlokes? Rather, al manechlu, and what are they arguing? Says the Gemara, al kadach has one set of edim. And now again, they say machlokes whether it's 200 or 100. Shami amnechlu edusan. Ubeistil alamrim yishvacha matayim mana. Continues the Gemara, a similar story. Echad amar chav shel yain, echad amar chav shel shemen. They're disagreeing with the quantity, the contents, Havi of the Ravami and Chayve. Ravami says Gemara, L'shalu le chavita de chamra, miu chavita de shivcha. Ravami held what? Ravami held that he has to pay a barrel of wine from within the barrel of oil. Says Gemara, Kuman. When there's everyone's agreeing to at least that amount, then there would be an obligation. Says the Gemara, this is his raya Edusa, and there are those who actually are Mekel. We'll stop over here. I'll pick it. Continues the Gemara from the two dots. Uminayin l'chsheyetze. Says the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan. The Gemara is explaining, how do we know that when the Dayan leaves the room, he should not say anything? How do we know that the Dayan should not tell people? I was the one that said you're chayiv. I was the one that said you're potter. The other guy said the opposite. You should not say, what can I do? My friends are more numerous than me. Don't be a peddler of gossip. And of course, we see over here, the classical Yisoid, as the Chavetz Chaim lays down so famously, is that even when it is emes, still rechilas. And continues the pasuk, Hoylech Rachel Megale Soid. Hoylech Rachel is he who is Megale Soid. The Gemara tells the story, there was a Talmud that there was a rumor that came out, that he revealed a secret that has been spoken about in the Beis Medrash, after 22 years. This person reveals secrets. Apparently this was information that no one was supposed to know, and from here we see that private information, even when it is necessarily true, still is not something someone is allowed to repeat. Continues the Gemara with the Mishnah on the bottom of Lamid Aleph Amid Aleph. Calls whenever there is a raya, Seiser Sadin, he can nullify the din. Even once there has been a psak halacha, if one of the litigants comes in with new evidence, he's allowed to submit it to the court. We don't say, no, it's over, it's finished. You still are able to submit the new evidence to the Bezdin. If the Bezdin says, okay, here's the psak, and any evidence that you have 30 days to produce. The halacha is matzah b'teir shleishim yayim seiser. So the Bezdin is allowed to put a cap. The Bezdin is allowed to say, no, you only have such amount of time. Amar Rashbag says, what should I do? Says, what should he do if he finds evidence after 30 days? Says, even if such a clause was created, even if Bezdin said that you only have 30 days, you're still allowed, whenever you find the evidence, the eidos, to bring it into Bezdin. Amrlai havayedim. Continues the Mishnah. If the Bezdin said bring eidim, Amar, and he said ein li eidim, Amar havarayv, Amar ein li raya. Originally he said I don't have a raya, I don't have eidim. And then eventually he finds a raya, or he finds eidim. Says the Mishnah, that is nothing. Einoi klum, they do not accept evidence if he himself said he doesn't have. However, again, comes the Rav Shimon Gamliel, Amar Rashbag, Maya says, Esh lo yodeya, sheish lo yedim, u'matza edim lo yodei, shesh l'raya, matza raya. Says Rav Shimon Gamliel, what do you want from this guy? He didn't think he had edim, he didn't think he had a raya, then he found one. Says Rav Shimon Gamliel, he can even bring it in after he said he doesn't have. And finally, number 3, Rosh Meschayev Adin, V'amar Karvai Pliny Pliny, if he sees that he's about to be chayiv, and he says, Karvai Pliny Pliny V'yedin, let so-and-so come and testify for me. Or he says, here's a raya. He pulls out a document from under his belt. That is nothing. If he realizes and he pulls out something that has no shaykhs, he pulls it at the last moment, just when he sees that they're about to be machayev him, such an eidos is meaningless. Such a raya is nothing. Says the Gemara, the first Mishnah, we had the machlekes and the chacham. The first point was when Bezdin gives a time limit, and after that time limit, he introduces the eidos or the raya. Amar Rav Chana lachik rashbag, that he could always bring it even after that time. Amar Rav Huna ina lachik divrei chachamim shita kivin amar lachik rashbag. Mamili yadana dina lachik chachamim. It's the same thing. It's two sides of a coin. Explains the Gemara about the time. I would have thought. Hani mili lechatz chila. Lechatz chila. Avol b'di'eved shabradami. Kamashlan de'i avid mahadrin alei. Says the Gemara, no, that even b'di'eved, says the Gemara, even after the psak halacha, we do not follow like the chachamim, meaning, even if it means they have to return and reverse the halacha, that would be the halacha. We do not paskin like the chachamim. And we continue with the Gemara, about 20 lines from the bottom, the 2 dots. Amar lo havi eidim v'chulu amar ashbak. If he says, I don't have eidim, if he says, I don't have a raya, and then what happens subsequently, guess what? They find an eidim, subsequently he finds a raya. Says Tanakama, he cannot bring it in. Says Rav Shimon Gamliel, no, what do you want for the guy? He found the raya or eidim afterwards. Says the Gemara, we paskin like the Chachamim that indeed we will not be able to bring a raya or eidim after he says he doesn't have. The exact opposite of what we said before. But it says Maragam Pshita, given them explains the Gemara Kamash that he ain't a Rashim Gamliel, Habikulu, Halacha Girashbag. Everywhere else we do baskin like him, which is La Fuke. This comes to exclude, says the Gemara. A famous memra. We always baskin like Rashim Gamliel aside for 3 cases. Chutz. What are the 3 cases? Chutz me arev v'tzidain v'raya achrayna. Says the Gemara, aside for 3 different cases, the case of an arev, tzidain, raya achrayna, we do not pass like Rishon Gamliel, but all other cases we do, and that's why we are coming along over here and saying we pass like the Chachamim, not like Rashbag, to show us that everywhere else such would be the case. Continues the Gemara with a story portraying the previous halacha. 7 lines to the bottom. The first 1 line is Ahu. Hahu Yanuka de Tavinu Ladina. There was a Yanuka, there was a child who was summoned to Bezdin Kamei Deramnach. Amar Lei is Chasadi. Do you have witnesses? Amar Lei Loi is Loi. They asked him, is Charaya, do you have evidence? Amar Lei Loi. Chayvu Aram Nachmin. Shom Nachman Paskins. That he is Chayiv. Havikabah Chivazel. He was crying and going. Shamu Anachin Shi. These people heard they heard him crying and said, guess what? We know something for you. Amar Rav Nachman Baha. In this case, Afilu Rabbanan, who before taught us that if someone says that he does not have any eidos, he cannot retract. But in this case, the Rabbanan are moida. Why? Because the child didn't know. The child didn't know the eidos for his father. Subsequently, someone came on and told him the eidos. So even the Racham would agree you could use that eidos. We continue with another case, 4 lines to the bottom. there was a woman, there was a woman who a star came out from under her hand. Amrulei, she said to the Bezdin, Yadana Bashtar de Paria Have. I know that the debt has been paid off. Hamni Rav Nachman. Amalei Rava the Rav Nachman. Rava comes along to Rav Nachman and says, Kiman, Kirebi. That it's kinda when mere giving it over. So the woman claimed that she had ownership when it was handed to her, and therefore she's believed when she says it's been paid off. So we see the halacha clearly is not like Rabbi. Amrale shaniacha. Why? Because if she wanted kalte, she could have burnt the note. Since we didn't know she had it, so she has the greatest upper hand. She could have said, I don't have anything and gotten rid of it. So therefore, she has an amanis to say that it was paid. Why you not believe? As we turn over to Lamed Aleph Amid Beis, why you not believing her? Kalse should have destroyed it. And therefore, says the Gemara, Kivan, Tizchazik Beidina, Ibai Kalse Lo Yamrinan. So according to the Amri, it's a chiddush that since they're in Bezdin, and since in Bezdin they know about the ishtar, even if the other parties did not necessarily know about it, therefore she will not have an amanis to say that she could have necessarily just burnt it. But Ace, Rav Nachman, 1 second. Simpan sheish alav eidim yiskayim b'chaysamav. Ein alav eidim yos v'tachas yad shlish. Oh, shetzach d'mshtar reis. Karsher. A simpan, a receipt that has either eidim, yiskayim with eidim. If there are no eidim, then if a third party has it, or it's in Bezdin after the signature is on a shtar, kosher. Alma, what do we see? Shlish me'amin. So we see a shlish is me'amin. Tiyofta, the Rav Nachman. Tiyofta says the Gemara, indeed, this proves clearly not like Rav Nachman, and this is a perfect raya, not like Rav Nachman. The Gemara continues, 6 lines from the top, going back to our case, the second case of the Mishnah, when someone says, Ainli, someone says, I don't have Eidim, I don't have Raya, and subsequently he wants to bring it. What's the halacha in such a case? So Kiyasar Avdimi Amar Yechon Oilam maybe Raya could always bring a Raya v'Seiser to contradict. Ache Yistayim Tainaisav until he closes his argument by saying I have nothing else to say. V'Yoymar, and then he says Kervu plenty Yiduni, let so and so testify for me. So what does this mean? It says 1 second. Rav Yechon, what do you mean? Hagufa Gasha. He says, I'm closed my arguments, I have nothing else to say. Asan the Rabbanan, that going according to the Rabbanan. That once you say I don't have anything else, you can't retract. That says you could yes retract, you could yes bring an Adam later. So which one is it? Really, this is all one big Rav Shimon Gamliel, and it's explaining itself. That what my so what does it mean until he closes his arguments? Until he says that let so and so testify for me. But can't be. So we just had an Amid Aleph. So it can't be that we're basking that way. So it can't be that Rav Yechon goes with Shimon Gamliel. So rather it says the Gemara Al Kiyasar Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda Rav Yechon Laila Mevi Raya V'Seiser could always bring Eidos to be Seiser the Psak Halacha Achi Yistayim Tainaisav V'Yamru Lo Yahavi Eidim. And how are they Yistayim Tainaisav? How do they close out the arguments? If Bezdin says it, bring Eidim. V'Yoymar he says Einli Eidim. Or Havarayv Amreinli Raya. That is effectively closing out. And at that point, he won't be later able to bring in further Eidim. Aval, however, if either Eidim come from overseas, or if there were a bunch of shtarais that were in someone else's hand and he didn't know about it, then that's like the final case. That's like the case of the kids, and you always are going to be able to bring such a raya because you did not know about it. And once we're on the topic of Rav Dimi, Rav Yechon, Kiyasar Rav Dimi, Amar Rav Yechon, Ha'atoikev es chaveiroi b'din. If someone grabs his friend, harasses his friend, b'din, echad oimer nidain kan, and the one party, the aggressive one, says, let's down the case over here before the local court. The other guy says, no, We force the harasser to go to the Makayim Havad. Amr the Rav Elazar, Rebbe, I don't understand. Someone has a claim of a mana. He can be forced to spend the money to get a mana. How can you force the guy to go to a bezdin so far away? No, they force him and he dons it in his own city. It's Barnami Amr Rav Safra Shleim Shei's Atzmu B'din Echad. If two people are fighting in a din, then what? So we force if it done be right. Then kaisvin. If he needs davar lishol, if he needs something to be asked, he needs to go to a higher bezdin. Kaisvin v'sholchin. Then we write it to them. And if he says, write and explain to me why you judge against me, we do that as well. Says the Gemara, a little bit of an unrelated halacha. But Rav Safra continues that Yavama goes after the Yavam to that area, lehatira, continuing on the theme of who goes to where. Says the Gemara, ad kama. How far does the Yavam have to go after the Yavama? Of Ramabi, I feel it's very, let's see, Pairi. Amr Avkana, Maikarav, a Carlo Zikneira, Velozikneira. Amr Amemer, halacha. Kaifin, the halacha is that we force, says the Gemara, we force them to go to the place of the bezdin. Rav Elazar taught us not that way. So we have a steer on what the halacha is. Says the Gemara, depends who is the one that's causing the case. Where the loiva says to the malva that he wants to go somewhere else, then we'll force them. But in the other way around, aval malva leloiva, then we won't. Well, not why? Because aval loiva lishmalva, the malva is not able to harass the loiva to spend money to go get his dinner tried elsewhere. We wrap up the parak. Says the Gemara, Shachla the Marukva sends the bezin of Tiveria sends Marukva lidiziv lei kivas bisya kvar bisya. To one who's shining like that of the son of Isya. Shalom. And again, the beautiful Siyata Dishmaya, we have such a daf on Friday and Erev Shabbos, a Parshas Shemais, which we're about to have the Parsha Vasi and Moshe. Shalom, peace. Ukva Habavli Kaval Kedamanya. Ukva Habavli compared us as follows. Yirmiyah Achi Hever Alayis Aderech. Yirmiyah Achi has deprived me of the way of Amruli. Therefore tell Yirmiyah, coercive to come to Tiveria. So we have a case where one is forcing someone else to go to Din Taira. Says more 1 second. I'll go for Kasha. So which one is it? Do we send him or do we judge locally? They tell Yirmiyahu to adjudicate the case. If you listen, okay, if you don't want to listen, then we're going to force you to go to Tiveria. Another way of learning this is Rav Ashi Amar, no. Says Rav Ashi, Dini Knossos Avoy, and that is different halachas. But really, it's just a ploy of kavod, because Knossos can never be donned in Bavel. We certainly have to do an incredible chazara b'siyata dishmaya.